Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna sit down and talk about what my husband and I have been going through over the past year and a half, and that is our infertility journey. The reason I want to create a video like this is because I've watched pretty much every single video like this on the internet, and I want to share a little bit of our story because so many of those women who shared their stories helped me, and I just want to have a place to put everything that we've been through in one video. I know I've shared a lot of our infertility struggles throughout my vlogs, but I wanted to create a dedicated video where I can kind of lump everything into one video in hopes that this can help provide people with information and kind of share like what we've done, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and just all of the information, because infertility can be extremely overwhelming and it can be a lot, and I just personally always found comfort in women who talk about their struggles and what they're going through when it comes to infertility. So if you're watching this, I'm assuming you're also trying to get pregnant, and I truly hope this video helps in some way. If you're new here, I should probably quickly introduce myself. My name is Caitlyn. I'm married to my husband Ty, and we have a beautiful little girl together. She's almost 5 years old. We had no problem getting pregnant with her at all. My husband and I actually got pregnant on birth control, and that was quite the surprise. We ended up miscarrying that pregnancy at about 6 weeks, and then we got pregnant with Scarlett just a few months after that. So we got pregnant very easy with Scarlett. We'll dive into more of that here in a little bit. I'm gonna try to not make this video too lengthy, but I also just want to like share everything. So something I've actually learned throughout our journey of infertility is 1 out of every 8 couples in the US struggle to get pregnant. It can be very overwhelming to find the right resources and figure out who you need to talk to, who do you see. If you are having trouble getting pregnant, do you go see your OBGYN? Do you go see your family doctor? Who do you go to first? Will a fertility clinic see me if I haven't been trying to have a baby for a year? All of these questions are very common and very true questions. I had all of these. But anyways, that's another reason why I'm creating this video, is just to help share how I advocated for myself, which again we'll dive into in a second. But I have to share Fertility Out Loud. They actually reached out and wanted to partner with me on a video, and I cannot wait to share Fertility Out Loud with you all because they have been an amazing resource for me. So Fertility Out Loud is an online community and resource center designed for anybody who is experiencing infertility. With the holidays approaching and us being around family more, there's a lot of awkward conversations that typically pop up at family gatherings. Common questions like, are you gonna have more kids? You know, your daughter needs a sibling, are you guys gonna give her a sibling? Things like that. And it can be really hard to answer those questions, especially when you're in the thick of infertility. And that's one reason why I love Fertility Out Loud, because they've actually designed all of these like situations that you might go throughout the holidays, and ways to kind of personally deal with them, or things to say, or how to educate others when you are asked inappropriate questions like that. By being prepared and knowing what to say when you get asked inappropriate questions, it can help you feel more in control. Along with all that information on fertilityoutloud.com, they offer so much more, like information regarding fertility challenges, where to get diagnosis and treatments, information about IVF. They talk about insurance and coverage, and they talk about how to find a specialist. And so there's just so much compacted into this website. I highly recommend checking it out. I will have Fertility Out Loud linked down below in the description box. Definitely make sure to check them out. They're a great resource. Anyways, let's dive on into all of the nitty-gritty details of infertility. I'm just gonna kind of walk you guys through the beginning and kind of share like what we went through, where we're at, what's going on. I have everything written down here. I had to like sit down and like actually think about everything because there's been a lot. It's a lot. It's definitely a lot when you're trying to get like a diagnosis and stuff like that. I'm also trying to keep track of like what we have spent so far. We do have insurance, and depending on your insurance and what state you live in, insurance can sometimes cover part of your infertility treatments. So thankfully we do have some insurance coverage on our fertility treatments. Let's just rewind back to 2019. 2019 is when my husband and I first started trying to expand our family and have another baby. I told him today about our baby plans for the year. Are you ready for 2 of Scarlett?
Maybe it'll be a boy, I don't know.
We started in the fall of 2019, and you know, like any couple, we thought it'd be easy because it was easy the first time with our daughter. So we thought that's what would happen the second time around. As the months went on and on and on, I had been feeling off. I was feeling off prior to us trying for a baby. I had been experiencing a lot of acne, really bad acne. I'm gonna post pictures here because when I tell people I've had really bad acne, nobody believes me until I show them the pictures. But my skin was so bad, mainly on my neck. I still have scarring to this day. My skin was out of control. And because I was trying to get pregnant, I was very limited on what I could do as far as treatments go to help with my skin. So anyways, I was having very, very bad acne, which I've never experienced before. I was feeling tired. I could tell something was wrong. I could tell something was off with me. I was having regular menstrual cycles, nothing, like no issues there or anything like that. They were always a little heavy, and I had cramps. Also, I should probably mention too, we were never on birth control. We had always used natural family planning, so I didn't have to get off birth control before we started trying to have a baby or anything like that. I hadn't been on birth control for years. So anyways, in January of 2020, I saw our family doctor for the first time, and I told her what was going on. She ran some blood tests for me, just like a really basic blood test, checked my thyroid, all of those kind of things, and found that my vitamin D levels were very, very low. I recently found out I am deficient in vitamin D. I got my blood results back and everything was normal. I'm just deficient in vitamin D. I want to say they were in the like low teens. I want to say it was like, I don't know, 11 or 12 or something like that. And your vitamin D levels should be, I want to say, between 40 and 50. So I started taking vitamin D supplements and immediately felt a lot better. I didn't feel as tired. I felt more energized. I still was having acne, really bad acne, but my energy level was better. For those of you who don't know, low vitamin D level is definitely not good for fertility. Okay, fast forward to March of 2021. So at this point, we had been trying to get pregnant for, I don't know, six cycles, I think. Also, my like month to cycle ratio is different because I sometimes would have 2 periods a month. My cycles were short. I would have a cycle every like 3 weeks, but I wouldn't have a cycle a month. Sometimes I'd have 2 cycles a month. So we're gonna say it based off of cycles, not months, if that makes sense. So we have been trying to conceive in March of 2021 for about 6 months, probably 7 or 8 cycles. And I went and saw my OBGYN. I didn't know what to expect, I guess. I didn't know if she was gonna take me seriously because we had only been trying to conceive for 6 months, and a lot of times they say wait a year and then go see somebody, but in my gut, I felt something was wrong. I felt something was wrong. So I went and saw her. We did ultrasounds. We tested my hormone levels, my thyroid, and my AMH. So your AMH is your anti-Müllerian hormone level. Your AMH level is gonna give you an idea of your egg quantities. I just looked it up, so I'm making sure I'm telling you this correctly, but if it's too high, that could indicate you have PCOS. A normal range would be 1.5 to 4.0, and then a low to normal range would be 1.0 to 1.5, and a low range would be 0.5 to 1.0. So when I got tested back in March of 2021, my AMH level was at 1.12, which according to this is the low normal range. And my doctor wasn't concerned. She said it was still within the normal range, and now looking back at it, I'm like, okay, yeah, that was pretty low, but it was still normal. So I was just being diagnosed as unexplained infertility, and we weren't really finding anything that was indicating why I couldn't get pregnant. My husband got checked, of course, too, so that is something you wanna do as soon as you're experiencing infertility, is have both parties checked, because it does take 2 to have a baby. So I start working with my OB, and in April/May of 2021, I did a progesterone and estradiol blood test series. You do that on certain days of your cycle to see how your levels are rising and then like decreasing and everything. Both of those levels came back as low. So I had low progesterone, low estradiol. My estradiol wasn't, like, we didn't have to do anything about it, but she did start me on progesterone suppositories that I started taking. It was at this time where I also started naltrexone, and naltrexone is a drug that is commonly used for opioid addiction, but a low dose of it can actually help promote healthy ovulation as well. So that is why I was taking it. So I was on naltrexone for months, quite a bit of time actually. It was also at this time where my OB diagnosed me with, which I'm still kind of confused about, but hypothalamic dysfunction and ovary dysfunctions. May 2021, I do my first sonohystogram, and I also do a hysterosalpingogram, also known as an HSG. Sonohystogram is the procedure to look at inside the uterus. My uterus is great. My lining's always been great. I don't have issues there. The HSG test is an x-ray procedure that is used to view the inside of the uterus and fallopian tubes. Again, no issues there. My tubes were both open, but it is something they have to do to kind of like rule out things. things as you're going through infertility. As you're going through infertility, they go through a ton of tests with you, and they just basically try to knock everything off and rule things out. So that's what we were doing. We were ruling things out. So far, so good. Still diagnosed as unexplained infertility, and nobody has any idea what's going on. This was also a point where we did another sperm analysis. So we've done a total of 3 sperm analysis. The sperm has cycles, so I think it's every 3 months is recommended when you're going through infertility to just get tested and checked to make sure that's not, part of the issue or anything like that. And then June 2021 is when we do our first follicular scan series. So a follicular scan series is basically where you go in at the beginning of your cycle. I think the first one was on day 3 of my cycle, and basically they use an ultrasound to monitor the follicle growth. So your follicles, if you don't know what these are, this is also something I've learned, your follicles are basically what holds your egg. So at the beginning of your new cycle, your follicles should start to grow, and then before you ovulate, one of those follicles will burst and release an egg, and then the egg will travel all the way down your fallopian tubes into your uterus, where hopefully, it meets a sperm. We did the follicular series, all looked well. I had a follicle burst, which indicated that I was ovulating, so no issues. Also, that was a series of about 7 ultrasounds over the first part of your cycle. It's a lot. It's very time consuming. It's a lot. Yeah, we ruled that out and everything was well. So I indeed was ovulating. So that was in June. I guess we'd been trying to conceive for, I don't know, 8 months at this point. In July of 2021 was when we did our first round of infertility medication. So I started taking CLOMID, which was recommended. It's a very, very popular fertility medication, and there's a couple reasons why you could take CLOMID. One is to help you ovulate, and another reason is to up your chances for ovulation. So yes, I was ovulating, but hopefully CLOMID would make me ovulate multiple eggs, which would then increase our chances for having a baby and getting pregnant. I was one of those people, CLOMID did not work for me. CLOMID actually gave me the total opposite effect. It overstimulated my ovaries. I did not ovulate, and if you go back and watch my vlogs, during that time I knew something was off. I knew I was...
She says that she thinks the CLOMID actually might have interfered with your ovulation.
So basically, I had a negative effect to CLOMID. I wasn't ovulating. There's a lot of signs that a woman goes through when they're about to ovulate, including increased cervical mucus. I had been taking ovulation tests, and would always get a positive, and that month I did not. So I definitely knew something was off. After meeting with my doctor and doing some more ultrasounds, we determined that CLOMID overstimulated me, and it did not work at all. We were about 11 cycles in at this point, and I was taking 50 milligrams of CLOMID. So that was, yeah, July of 2021. I gotta fix this light real fast, hold on. August 2021, cycle 12, I started LETROZOLE, which is another common fertility medication, and my LETROZOLE dosage was kind of odd. I don't think this is I don't know, I feel like a lot of people don't do it this way, but I was doing 0.5 milligrams of LETROZOLE, five pills on day 3 of my cycle. So I'd only take 5 pills of 0.5 milligrams of LETROZOLE one day of my cycle, but it worked. LETROZOLE did exactly what it should for my body. August 2021 was actually the first month that we started reaching out to fertility clinics to really start working with somebody. We were approaching a year of trying to conceive. Like I said, this was cycle 12. It was time. It was time to transition from my OB to an actual fertility clinic. So I started making my calls to fertility clinics, and it takes a hot minute to actually become a patient there. We're about 2 months out, but I did find a fertility clinic that was a natural, an all-natural clinic. It was just 2 women, 2 doctors, and they used more of a natural approach to fertility, and they actually had sooner availability. So my thought was, let's see what they're about. We'll schedule with them, and then we'll transition to the real deal fertility clinic in a couple of months when we can actually get an appointment if we're still not pregnant. So we met with these women, and they were incredible. I loved their outlook on fertility. After talking with them, we decided that an IUI would be a good option. I was on fertility medication, and a lot of times when you're on fertility meds plus an IUI, you can have good results. So we scheduled our first IUI, and if you don't know what an IUI is, that is an intrauterine insemination. So basically, there's lots of ways you can do it. You don't have to be on medication, but it helps your chances. So we started our LETROZOLE that month. We monitored the follicles, and I had 4 healthy, large follicles that were going to rupture and basically I was gonna have 4 eggs that could be fertilized, which is crazy because if all 4 eggs got fertilized, that'd be quadruplets, but the chances of that happening wasn't very high. So we go through all of that, do the ultrasounds, we're good to go, and as soon as I get a positive ovulation, I had to alert my doctors and let them know that, you know, we were ready to do the IUI. We did not use a trigger shot, which is also something very common for practice of an IUI. We didn't use a trigger shot because we worked on my time frame. A lot of times trigger shots, I mean, they can help alert the body to release the eggs, but we were just doing it more natural, and a trigger shot forces the egg to be released, if that makes sense. So I got a positive that morning. I don't remember the exact date. I think it was on like cycle day 12, and we ended up doing an IUI that evening. Ty and I both met them at the clinic, and he gave his sample, and then they take his sample and they spin it to help get the best sperm, like it helps get the best concentration or something like that. And then they basically insert a catheter up into my uterus, and they put the specimen like in a tube, and then you press, like Ty was able to press it down, and I'll link this video down below where we did it. But IUI is complete, and I'm laying here to let everything soak in. Right? Mm-hmm. Went good. Didn't hurt at all. They said my cervix was wide open.
I gotta see your cervix.
You gotta press the
plunger, or like this, not catheter, syringe, whatever you want to call it.
You gotta put the syringe in. He was able to press it down, and then it shoots it up into your uterus, and hopefully, you know, it meets with a sperm, and your chances of getting pregnant are much higher because it is timed, first of all, and you're getting the semen, like the best semen all the way, like as close to the fallopian tube as possible. So because this was a natural practice, we did not, like we couldn't use insurance. So this cost us about $600 for the IUI and just for like everything else, like the spinning of the sperm and stuff like that. I also ended up doing blood work with that IUI that kind of came along with it as well. The IUI failed, and that was actually the month that this month was a big month actually. So the IUI failed, it did not work, and I just did an at-home blood test for a brand that I was working with, and they tested my AMH, and it came back again because I was like, I've already had my AMH tested, which is that anti-Müllerian hormone, which tells you like your egg quantity. Anyways, that came back, and my AMH level was at 0.6. If you guys remember, before it was at 1.1 or something like that. So now it's showing it's at 0.6. So I'm like, what the heck? Like, this is crazy. So I talked to my doctor, and I asked her if she can order me a blood test to do like an actual clinic, because the one I did at my house was like the prick your finger and, you know, drop it onto the sample and then send it in. Those blood tests that came back, my AMH was indeed at 0.6. So I'm like, what the heck? Why is my AMH dropping so fast? After talking with my doctor, she was like, I don't think an IUI is gonna work for you. I don't think it's gonna be successful, and I wouldn't waste your money doing more, because this is like serious. This is kind of serious. I'm 29 years old, and for a woman who is 29 years old, their AMH should not be this low. My AMH level is the level of a 45-plus-year-old woman. I was kind of in shock. Definitely in shock at this point. So now we're gonna fast forward to September. I had been still taking letrozole every cycle. I think I took letrozole for 3 or 4 cycles. One of those cycles we did an IUI, which failed, and then after that we just did timed intercourse, and obviously it didn't work. So at this point we were just taking letrozole and waiting for our fertility appointment with like our actual clinic, which is who we're seeing now. So in September of 2021 is when we had our first appointment, like our initial new patient appointment with our current fertility clinic that we're working with, and we did, you know, blood work, and he went through everything that I've done in the past, and based off of all of that, I was diagnosed with severe ovarian failure plus diminished ovarian reserve. So not great things, honestly. Definitely not great things, because without eggs you can't have babies. Severe ovarian failure is, you know, my ovaries are failing. They're aging faster than they should be. So after this, we kind of start all over. I feel like every time you go somewhere else, you have to start all over, and that's exactly what we did, because the clinic wanted, you know, its own things to go off of. So I have to do another HSG procedure. Both Ty and I do genetic testing, lots of ultrasounds, and throughout the ultrasounds, it's determined that my left ovary is not functioning at all, at all. My right ovary functions, but not like it should be. My doctor is very concerned, and he agrees with my previous fertility clinic and says that IUI is not an option for us. We will have no success with an IUI. We have like a 1% chance to naturally conceive, and IVF is going to be our only option. Not even best option, only option. Our only option is to do IVF. Our doctor also tells me that I'm approaching early menopause. The fact that I am more than likely approaching early menopause is freaking scary. And I'm at risk for genetic disorders, such as being a carrier of Fragile X and Turner syndrome, which is, I think, a form of Down syndrome. So the genetic testing is what comes into play. Ty's gotten his genetic testing back and he's not carriers of either one of those. So I'm still waiting on my results, but the fact that he's not carriers, even if I am a carrier, we should be fine. So yes, all of that happens. We set up a plan. I'm told, yeah, we have a less than 1% chance to naturally conceive. All of that happens. That's a lot to take in, and I start getting my mindset ready for us going through IVF. At this point, we had probably spent just under $4,000 over the past year. I don't know if that's high or not. I mean, $4,000 is $4,000. I also want to mention, as soon as I saw my fertility doctor back in September, the one we're currently with, he got me on a list of like vitamins and supplements to start taking. I'll leave a list right here of everything that I'm currently taking that he wants me taking. Please make sure to always check with your doctor first, but this is currently what I'm taking. Keep in mind too, throughout this entire journey, I had been trying to do literally anything and everything. You know, I changed my diet. I started eating like keto, high fats, and lower carbs, and you know, I tried everything. Obviously nothing was working, and it wasn't because of anything I was doing, it's because I have aged ovaries. So it's November of 2021 currently. Sorry, that's my dog, if you hear him. We are in the middle of starting IVF, and we're actually starting IVF this month, which is super exciting. These past couple of cycles, we've been doing nothing except naturally trying, which there's always miracles that happen, but that miracle didn't happen for us. So we are moving forward with IVF, but I haven't been on any fertility meds, nothing like that. I am simply on birth control, which I know sounds crazy, but it's a very common practice when you are going through IVF because it allows them to manipulate your cycle. So I am currently on birth control and a bunch of supplements. So is Ty. I should mention that. He is also taking a whole list of supplements. Everything my husband's taking is going to be listed right here. So anyways, that is where we're at in our journey right now. We have our medications ordered. I guess I could tell you guys the cost of that. Initially, we got our cost for our medication, and it was at $5,200. $5,200, very, very, very expensive, but we do have insurance, and I was able to work with the pharmacy to have them move around our prescriptions to pharmacies that would cover portions of the cost, and by doing that, we were able to knock down our fertility meds to being at around $2,200. $2,200 is still really expensive for medication, but it's a lot better than $5,200. So with IVF, if you don't know what that is, basically there's like two phases to it. There is the egg retrieval, and then there is the embryo transfers. What my doctor is most concerned about is getting embryos because I do have aged ovaries. My husband and I only want one more child unless we're blessed with twins, but our plan is one more child. And if we wanted to have a larger family, if we wanted to have another baby in a couple of years, something we really need to do is maybe go through a couple rounds of IVF and freeze our embryos and save those. But since we just want one more child, we shouldn't have to go through more than one round of IVF. I don't know. I don't want to jinx myself. I'm hoping we don't have to. But anyways, what we're about to go through is the egg retrievals. So with the egg retrieval, you first start doing all of the stim medications, and that's the injectable medications that are commonly seen with IVF. We don't have our medication in yet. It should be shipping next week. I have, I think, 4 different injections I'll be doing daily for, I think we have 14 days of medication. And then on the 14th day, I believe it's the 14th day, December 6th is our tentative date for the egg retrieval. We'll be doing the egg retrieval. So I will be walking you guys through that process. I'm not sure when this video is gonna go live, but I will be sharing that throughout my vlogs. So if you wanna see some like real experiences with all of that, definitely make sure to check out my vlogs. So you do the stim medications, your ovaries should balloon up and you should have so many follicles growing because of the medication. And there's a lot of ultrasounds throughout this to monitor everything, blood work to monitor everything. And then at the end, if everything works out and everything's good to go, you go in for an operation, a procedure. An anesthesiologist will put you under and they take a catheter. They go all the way up through your uterus, into your fallopian tubes, and into your ovaries. And basically they drain every follicle. And through the drainage, they collect the eggs. Those eggs are then given to an embryologist who I think is in the room with you. They're immediately fertilized. So that same day, Ty will give a specimen and they will fertilize the eggs in hopes that they turn into embryos. And I believe they need to make it to day 5, which we haven't got to this step yet. If we are lucky enough to have embryos, you have a few options. You can do like a fresh embryo transfer, which isn't as successful as a frozen embryo transfer, which is what we're going to be doing. First, we're going to do the testing, the genetic testing on the embryos. So we'll do that first to up our chances of having a successful pregnancy. And then we will freeze our eggs, let my body recover from IVF, and then we'll do the embryo transfer when my body is recovered. You have to prep your body for the transfer, so I think there'll be more injectable medication and stuff like that. I don't know. We're not there yet. One step at a time. So that is currently where we're at with our infertility journey, getting ready to start IVF, and I'm very excited, definitely nervous, but very excited. Feels like everything has been taking so long to get to this point, but now that we're actually here, it's going so fast. So I'm excited to take you guys along with this IVF journey and, you know, see what happens. But that is our infertility story. That has not yet closed yet. It's still an open-ended story. I hope this video helped anybody who is going through infertility. I hope this gave you context and information and resources. If you guys want to follow along with the rest of our story, I'll be sharing all of this through blogs, and maybe I'll do a part 2 to this video with a happy ending. I don't know, we'll see. I'm just putting it out there, trying to envision everything working out. So thank you guys for listening to me talk about all of this today. If you're going through infertility, please know that you're not alone. There's lots of women out there going through exactly what you're going through. You're definitely not alone, and I hope this video was able to bring you comfort in some ways. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.